welcome to Eagle Talks 448. I am your host, Lucas Straka, and here on our show, the students of the State University of New York at Brockport have taken on the responsibility of interviewing some of the faculty and staff of the Journalism, Broadcasting, and Public Relations Department here at the college. Recording live in the studio today, Caleb Snell will be interviewing Mary McCrank. Take it away, Caleb.
Thank you, Lucas, and we want to thank you all for joining us on this snowy April afternoon. I'm joined here today with Lecturer of Journalism, Broadcasting, and Public Relations, Professor Mary McCrank of SUNY Brockport. Professor, how are you today?
Oh, hi, Caleb. Oh, I'm wonderful. Thank you for having me. It's great to be here with you and your fellow students.
All right, it's a pleasure to have you here today, and I essentially just want to talk about your role in the Journalism, Broadcasting, Public Relations Department when it comes to interconnectedness, individuality with students, and holding value on that JRB degree. So I guess getting started with this interview, I wanted to get into your prior experience going to teaching. It's important to note that you're about 10 years into teaching, and you didn't go right into teaching after completing your bachelor's or your master's. A lot of your experience has to do with being a staff writer, reporter, editor for the Democrat and Chronicle. You have worked for the Pastone Corporation, and you were a media relations officer. So have you noticed yourself using your past experiences and calling on what you've learned and applying it in your course material?
That is a great question, Caleb. There's an old adage that people who do, and people who teach don't. But in the journalism department at Brockport, it's the exact opposite. All of us were practitioners in our respective fields, which allows us to bring a rich experience, a broad vast of experience from our reporting days, and bringing that live into the classroom so that our students know they're not only learning these skills from someone who understands the theories, but also somebody who has been a practitioner and has experienced what the textbooks will tell us, how to go out and report, how to create a campaign, how to work with our constituents and various audiences, stakeholders, and government officials, the general public. And when you can have a varied background like that, I think it brings a better understanding into the classroom and provides us as faculty with a certain empathy. We understand that the new generation is trying to learn the same skills that we had the advantage to learn decades ago, but we also have that experience, and my students don't yet. So I always try to be humble about the opportunities that I've had the chance to do, but I like to balance that out in the classroom. Talk a little bit about the experience, but always use it in a concrete fashion so that my students understand and can respect what I am explaining during dialogue in class while we interface.
I'm very glad you brought that up, that you're all practitioners, and our audience knows that you are practitioners and you have this experience, because when you have a well-rounded group of professors like we do in the journalism department, it helps us connect with the professors more. As individuals, as students, we get to see from their point of view in the field and also their point of view in the classroom, and that's what we get going in.
Oh, I'm so glad to hear that you enjoy that, because I know the classes that I teach, news writing and fundamentals of media, those are two of my primary courses within the department. And so I really am working with a lot of first year and second year students who are still trying to sort out exactly where they want to go, what direction they want to take. Students might be struggling with understanding what concentration is right for them. And I'm lucky that I've actually had experience in the public relations and media news writing fields. So I can often talk to students one-on-one about my own experiences and the coursework that we provide and which area of concentration might be best for them. And I love working with students starting out because everyone is so curious about how things work. And there's a deep connection there, I think, between our faculty and our students. we know everybody on a first name basis. And that's not just something that we memorize, but when I'm in the classroom having a conversation with a student, it can extend into a private office hours conversation to have a further dialogue about the field and my own experiences. You can understand what you would expect from that field. So, for example, when I worked in public relations, it's a fast-paced, interesting field, but you also can have some downtime. When I was a journalist working as a daily newspaper reporter, you often would be called at midnight to go cover a house fire and have to get up in the middle of the night and drive 45 minutes outside of town to go cover something live. And it's interesting because it's not always just about the curriculum and the practical skills, but it's also kind of having a conversation with students about where they see themselves 5-10 years out. Always asking what is their dream job and what is their end goal. I love meeting students and getting all of this information on the first day of class, because when I know what my students want to do, I try to cater the lectures and the textbook chapters around that particular class's interest. Some years, everybody wants to go into sports journalism. Other years, everybody wants to work for the music industry. Yeah. And so I really have fun catering the conversation and the curriculum around our students' needs.
I think that is very important. I like how you brought up, keeping that connectivity with the students. And you told me that one of your goals each semester, like you mentioned, is to learn every name of your students. Now, to the journalism department, everyone is an individual. However, amidst the pandemic and asynchronous teaching, is there anything you've been doing specifically to help maintain this individuality?
I love that question as well, because while I had the chance to be teaching one online class or two every year for the past few years, being 100% remote for 2 semesters in a row has been a challenge, not only for my students, but for myself as well. And I've come up with a few tricks along the way. I kind of encourage students to visit me during live office hours, which allows me to actually get to know them on a one-on-one basis. And students are less shy about using the camera during office hours, so I actually get to see them. And whereas in classes, students do tend to be a little more shy, I encourage the chat in the Zoom rooms to engage. And I do the same thing I do as in person, where I look at the photo rosters every semester, so I can actually visualize the students to whom I'm speaking or emailing with. And I also have been reaching out a lot more via email to students who, because I can't see them during office hours in person or see them Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I don't get to interface. And so I've been doing emails for hours a day, just individual ones to students who are having a hard time. Some students may have dealings with anxiety. They may be moving out of a parent's house and having to shift gears and maybe even moving out of their surrounding town. Students who have been dealing with loss of life, family in the hospital due to COVID and other reasons. And because I can't have that one-on-one with them in person, like I mentioned, I do emailing, and I have found that this has resulted in my students realizing that not only is it just a, hey, how are you doing, passing by before or the end of class, but it also has proven to them that they matter, that they care, that we care about them. If they need an extension on that assignment because they're dealing with a tremendous amount of pressure, yes, that is fine. But they often will write back, maybe not during, they'll write back, but then I'll get another email a little bit later, and the students will say, thank you for looking out for me. And they realize there's a light at the end of the tunnel, and that they aren't a statistic, that they aren't a number, but that we really genuinely care about them, their lives, their families, and their welfare, their well-being. I've come up with a couple adages this semester, and some of them include health first, studies second, and the other is families first, studies second, because we as students can only be as good for our professors as we are about how we're feeling about ourselves. And the drain of technology 24/7 and not being able to be with each other has been a tremendous burden on them. So it's definitely given me a lot more empathy and a different perspective. I'm going to utilize some of these tools moving forward when we're all together in the fall as well.
I definitely think being connected and just letting them know you're there is such a big help. Now we are nearing towards the end of the show. I just have one or two more questions just to ask you. Mainly, like you said, there's a big mentality in the JRB department in the past few years of we over me. To what extent do you think an interconnected department has on the outcomes of the students of said department?
I've been thinking an awful lot about that type of thing lately, and I feel as though not only are the students interconnected, not only within their own respective curriculums and extracurricular student media organizations, but the faculty is very interconnected. As I mentioned, we all come from a varied background, but with the same ideology that our students are here to learn, and we are here to be of service to our students. I often sign off my emails, glad to be of service. And I think that this interconnectedness is what makes us stronger. We thrive off of each other. We have documentary filmmakers, we have ad agency executives, newspaper reporters, media theorists, and we all bring our skills together and have become stronger as being one department of journalism, broadcasting, and public relations, and being able to offer these various concentrations as minors now. We have emerged from this as a tremendously strong department, seeing a slew of students going on to top graduate schools for furthering their studies in journalism. And I truly believe we could not have accomplished this without being one department and having such a strong faculty. But also, I need to add strong students who come to us, many of them, first generation students or students who maybe did have parents go to school, but they are all new to the learning experience and so eager and anxious to learn everything they can. That energy really is infectious and impacts us faculty to give that back to our students. And I just feel like we're all woven in somehow. A media production student is as equally interested in news writing these days as a multimedia journalism student is learning how to handle a camera and being out in the field and filming. And to me, that's a thrill because I went to college in the 1980s when it was a silo effect. We all stayed within our area of concentration.
Mary, I am
so
being told we are running out of time here. I do want to thank you, though, for coming on our show and providing us with your insight and your informative knowledge of the JRB department and anything about SUNY Brockport. So we want to just a big thank you to you again, and we hope to see you soon.
Thank you, Caleb. It's been a pleasure being with you.
For now, we'll throw it back to Lucas.
That was great. Thank you, Caleb, and thank you to those tuning in with us today. This has been another interview with Eagle Talkz 448. I'm your host, Lucas Straka, and don't forget to tune in with us next time.